For a longer time now, I'm good friends with harpsichordist Jonathan Valcedo, who I shared some musical adventures with. He lives in the Bay Area in California, and I came up with the idea of a collaboration making use of the digital technological resources the pandemic actually forced us to deal with. So I proposed to work with a small piece of music, Johann Michael Bach's motet on a psalm text in the translation of Martin Luther, Unser Leben währet 70 Jahr, which translates to something like our life lasts 77 years.
Michael Ostrozigo was the first person I heard from nearly 2 years ago, when the pandemic put an end to our normal schedules of concert giving. I'd had vague notions of using the lockdown period to learn some difficult repertoire, but those plans didn't come to anything, and the break in the silence was actually a rather pleasant intrusion. I was never a big fan of recording. Surely, music should just be thrown to the wind and forgotten, providing a bit of learning, some enjoyment in the moment, and then allowing us to move on to the next project. So, I was surprised to have the opportunity to rethink my ideas, and even more surprised to come to different conclusions.
Jonathan then suggested that we also ask cellist John Lutterman to join us. John is based in Anchorage, Alaska, and I also worked with him before. So my idea was to have all instrumentalists coming from the Bay Area as well as from Anchorage, assembled by Jonathan and John, and have all singers coming from Cologne. Over the course of several meetings via Zoom with all participants and coaches, we would talk about the music, discuss certain relevant topics such as tuning, musical rhetoric and historical instruments and so forth, partly as mini lectures prepared by one of the leaders or coaches, and then demonstrate different interpretations for small elements of the music.
I was delighted to have an opportunity for my students to work and perform with talented and thoughtful colleagues like Michael Ostroziga and Jonathan Salcedo. And I was intrigued by the nature of the Totentanz project, particularly our focus on the music of Johann Michael Bach. His reflections on the nature of mortality and loss are especially meaningful in the context of our current pandemic. As one might expect, the need to discuss and choose from among various interpretive options over the internet via Zoom was somewhat cumbersome, especially for musicians accustomed to spontaneous real-time, improvisatory decision-making. That said, such restrictions do force one to be more patiently reflective and deliberative, and they present an opportunity for imaginative rethinking of our habitual approaches to the creative process.
In breakout sessions, small groups would then work on the performance in the way we agreed upon beforehand. And in each small session, instrumentalists and singers performing the same part would be together. For example, sopranos with first violins, basses with cello and double basses, and so on. The instrumental and vocal coaches and groups could show each other the different approaches and results. Making music as an ensemble is not really possible with Zoom, but we could hear individuals performing small snippets from the score, and the coaches could comment on that, which was fruitful for everyone. Thus, we could develop a common vision for the music. In the end, I prepared a backing track everyone could play or sing against too. In California and Alaska, a group of string players could record their parts together in one room. Here in Cologne, everyone needed to perform her or his part alone individually due to corona regulations. While recording, the backing track would be listened to via headphones so that we had a clean version of everything recorded. We then assembled every track and edited the tutti version.
It's already quite an adventure to work with a musician who is in the same room. The adventure magnifies when we were all operating in multiple different physical spaces and time zones, and hoping that our contributions will work together. All our senses are on alert as we put down our tracks that will be mixed later, including senses of what is not actually there, but remembered from the string of virtual interactions that led us to this moment. Harpsichordists. Indeed, pretty much all musicians who specialize in early music are anarchists. We don't generally like conductors very much. We're not happy about being told what to do. We think we can just work these things out ourselves in the ensemble. But Michael is an exception among early music conductors, a generous director who facilitates and is not overbearing.
I had the task of putting the audio tracks together. My goal was to end up with a product that sounded as if we had all recorded the piece together in the same room as we usually do. Now, since each singer sent me their individual recording, this gave me the opportunity to adjust the volume levels to get a well-balanced sound. In addition, it was possible to arrange the tracks in the stereo image so that they roughly corresponded to a concert setup. The live character of the piece was further enhanced by the use of reverb effects.
My role was to find a visual solution, including the musicians playing and singing. During the ongoing pandemic, we all got very used to this kind of video with musicians performing in their kitchens or living rooms, and we hope to go beyond that. I wanted the video to represent the participants' personal surroundings and to include them in the process. In thinking about the visuals and producing them, we not only made the video theirs, but also encouraged them to think more deeply about the lyrics they sing and play. My idea was to let them find places in their own towns or neighborhoods that represent the presence of death in the middle of the living. The result should mirror this idea by showing those still places with the feet of people walking or vehicles passing by. A first approach for the musicians was to look for monuments or memorials and maybe learn about their meaning. Then, the comparison of burial culture and different forms of cemeteries could be a possible way to learn about each other's cultural backgrounds and history by means of small true-to-life examples. Starting there, they might discover places of personal meaning, things only noticed subconsciously every day on their travels, and seen consciously for the first time because of their intention search. Some of the participants went on walks or tours through their cities and filmed short clips of things they discovered. Gathering the participants' results, I added some footage I filmed myself, showing nature as a metaphor for the passage of time. The video became, as I had hoped, a multi-layered experience, combining Johann Michael Bach's music, the biblical lyrics, and different images of life and death. The combination awakens associations in the audience. They become open to interpretation and discover a multitude of possible ways of looking.
Though early in his career, Beethoven was most famous for his quick musical mind and his incredible improvisatory skill, today he is better remembered for the infamously painstaking and endless reworking of every detail that he felt compelled to undertake for his written compositions. The Beethoven scholar, Richard Kramer, one of my mentors, once described Beethoven's compositional practice as a kind of frozen improvisation. As Kramer puts it, quote, "Writing down freezes or chills the flow of time that is requisite to improvisation. Under such conditions, what Beethoven gains in the slowing of the process is a clearer vision of the process itself and, hopefully, a firmer control over intuition." Although it was a challenge to deal with the inherent limitations of rehearsing and then recording our performance over the internet, I believe that each of us found that in the process we also discovered new dimensions of this captivating composition. I would like to think that we too gained, quote, a clearer vision of the process itself, and hopefully a firmer control of our intuition.
Without the pandemic, I would probably still be wondering when we would actually have the pleasure of working together again on the same continent. So, while the pandemic indeed played havoc with many aspects of our lives, this was one of the fine rewards that it offered. We speculate a lot over what the new normal might look like when this is over. We've opened a Pandora's box of technology. It's a two-way street of learning. We're finding out how to use it, how it can enhance what we do, how it can teach us something useful, new ways that we can use it to share our ideas. And technology is learning from us what we need, where the problems lie, how to close the latency gap that still prevents us from truly working together at a distance. For anyone excited about new possibilities, this surely has to be one of the great moments in time to be around and witnessing where we are all going now.